Scituate Planning Board. For audio participation, dial 425-436-6308, 425-436-6338, or 425-436-6300. Access code 538960#. For video participation, https://join.freeconferencecall.com/Scituate1, and then follow the instructions. I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Ms. Burbine?
Aye.
Ms. Morrissey?
Aye.
Ms. Lambert?
Aye.
Ms. Lewis? Aye. Mr. McLean?
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we have at 7 o'clock a continued public hearing, stormwater and site plan administrative review, common driveway, 16, 18 through 20 Man Hill Road. Do we have an applicant?
Mr. Maravito's on the phone, and I believe Mr. Yancey's on the phone.
Hello?
Hi, this is Tansy.
Hi.
Oh,
Mr.
Paul,
Barabito, we
Hi,
can't
Paul.
We can't hear him.
I can't hear you. Unmute yourself, Paul.
He's on
There's a
mute.
volume thing.
It's his volume.
He
Okay.
has to turn up his volume.
All right. Karen?
Well, why don't we let the applicant
All
make
right, I
it?
know. Who's going to speak to this issue this evening?
Boys? Oh, wait.
Hold on, Jeff just logged in. Jeff?
Jeff, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hi. Paul seems to be having some problems with his audio. We really can't hear him.
Well, perhaps you all would prefer for me to talk.
I think so. Yes, go for it.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get Paul on the phone and explain to him how this program will work.
Oh, no,
Wait a minute.
He just
Wait a
wants
minute.
to speak up.
I think
Speak up, Paul.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now we can.
Now we can.
Okay.
Oh,
Speak louder.
yes.
Did you already call the hearing in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, then I'll jump right into it if that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, just for the record, Jeff DeLisi of Hornberger, DeLisi and Harris. I am new to this project. I was recently asked to come on board, most specifically to draft a common driveway easement and utility document, but also to help see the project through. Also with Paul Maravito, as you know, of Ross Engineering, and I believe our client Bob Terrell is also participating in this call this evening. Just to step back and review, I know it's been a while with the board. The property is located in R2 zoning district. The property required, in the R2 zoning district, buildable lots require 100 feet of frontage and width and 20,000 square feet in land area. The tract that's the subject of this application is a little more than 104,000 square feet. It has been divided into 3 lots. Lot 1, Lot 3, which is one of the 3 lots, fully complies with all zoning and dimensional requirements because it has at least 100 feet of frontage and width and 20,000 square feet in area. But the remaining 2 lots, lots 1 and 2, they were granted a special permit from the ZBA under a provision of the zoning bylaw that allows dwellings to be constructed on lots that have at least 50 feet of frontage so long as the lots have at least 2 times the required lot area in the zone. So in this particular case, 50 feet of frontage and 40,000 square feet. And lots 1 and 2 satisfy that requirement, which is why the special permit was granted. But that provision of the zoning bylaw also provides that when 2 or more 50-foot frontage lots are approved at the same time and share a lot line, then in order to minimize the number of curb cuts within 100 feet, common driveways approved in accordance with section 720 shall apply, which gets us in front of the planning board. Section 720 pertaining to common driveways ordinarily requires special permits, but contains an exception to that requirement, which we fall under, and that is because the common driveway is less than 500 feet in length and serves no more than 2 lots. So we're before the board for an administrative site plan that has to meet the standards and application requirements of the administrative site plan requirements of section 770. There's a view that also they need to meet the application requirements or standards of review design requirements for section 720 in the common driveway provision. So essentially, since the last meeting, and kind of stepping back after that lengthy summary as to where we are, not having participated in the prior meetings, I can report that what the applicant has done since the last meeting is broken out the operation and maintenance plan into 3 separate O&M plans, 1 for each of the 3 lots, and then also provided a draft common driveway and utility stormwater easement document. My understanding is that the plans haven't been since revised in any substantive way since the last meeting, but that by and large Merrill weighed in, and I think for the most part I think that we've satisfied their concerns. Now, earlier this evening, Karen was kind enough to share with us a document that is the proposed findings of fact for the common driveway and the stormwater permit, which I'm sure that the board has in front of them. And the document on my review contained language that indicated that we still have some work to do with respect to specifically 4 items. And as a result of having reviewed that document, I convened a meeting with the team just before hopping on this call, and we're confident that we can address these areas for the board. And so, since the goal here is to put the best plan in front of the board and to defer to the process of the planning board, and seek to minimize conditions by answering questions up front on plans approved at the time rather than conditioning them for a later time. We're going to ask the board this evening for 1 more continuance to allow us the opportunity to do that and to respond accordingly. And in the meantime, if the board has any questions or would like us to look into any issues or concerns, we would very much appreciate, that type of discourse for tonight's meeting to understand anything else that the board might want us to look at and be attentive to. And so that's pretty much what I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Karen?
Well, I think Mr. DeLisi is partially...
Are you muted?
Right. I don't think all Merrill's comments have been addressed. There's an easement that Merrill had wanted between number 20 Man Hill and number 30 Man Hill. That's not on the plan. The operation and maintenance plan has not been revised according to comments submitted to the applicant from the planning board. And the big question of you know, Merrill wanted a big easement on the back of Lot 2. And that's not on the plans at all. So I think the board has to decide where you're going with that easement. I got the impression from the last discussion that the board wanted the easement on Lot 2.
Yeah, Karen, I just, I don't think I indicated that all of them have been addressed. I'm recognizing that a few stragglers still remain, and the applicant is prepared to show those easements and put them on the plans appropriately as requested, and to address the O&M issues.
All right, are you all set?
Yeah, I mean, that's the basic stuff that I had. Plus, I just wanted to point out to the board that in front of the common driveway easement stops basically 11 feet short of the garage in front of Lot 2. Now, no parking is desired in the common driveway easement so that emergency vehicles have access to the properties. There's supposed to be the turnaround, which they have, but that doesn't leave parking for the Lot 2 owner in front of its garage. And that is a problematic scenario.
Yeah, and that's one of the items that we'll be addressing to the satisfaction of the board, and that's why we're asking for the continuance.
Okay.
Okay, Steve?
Just so I'm clear on it, Karen, if I could ask just a clarification here. Is the easement, is that shown as a dashed line going across, about halfway across that little stub? Is that where the easement is? Had a hard time following.
Yeah, it's really hard to read on the plan, but the easement is a dashed line on the plan, yes.
Okay.
I think what Paul, what I heard him tell me was that it makes sense because there's a lot going on in these plans, to your point, Steve and Karen, and they are difficult to review or read, and, to just cleanly come up with a separate sheet, an easement sheet, that clearly shows these areas.
Well, there was a separate easement sheet provided.
The other thing
Sorry, Karen, I didn't hear you.
was another...
There was a separate easement plan provided, but it just has not been updated.
Right.
The other thing I do not understand, contrary to what was said at the last hearing, you now have come in with 3 separate O&Ms. And I don't quite understand why, when these people are sharing detention basins, 2 of them are sharing a driveway. I'm not really sure what the point of 3 separate O&Ms is. Also, too, I think you need to address the revetment that you have put along the back of the property, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There are a lot of issues here, and I, for one, am very, very concerned about this property. I think that regardless, you're really trying to push 3 good-sized houses into a 2-acre slot, and I'm wondering if you all wouldn't have been better off to just have 2 houses, and that would have been the end of it. But, and the common driveway...
I do appreciate that comment, and one of the things that I've run into on a few circumstances now with plans of this type, I can think of, for instance, the 5-lot plan on Country Way that was recently approved, that I think you guys are going to endorse tonight. None of the plans that I'm putting, like this plan right here, shows 3 homes on 3 lots and shows the homes rather large, and I recognize that. But the reason that I'm being told that that is done that way is because the concept is to make sure, from an engineering standpoint, that we don't understate our stormwater calculations and the basis of impervious area that we're utilizing. So the larger footprint shown on the plan is there to make sure that we have the most conservative stormwater analysis. And that's just a maximum coverage area that is theoretical or conceptual in nature. And the concept is that these homes are in all likelihood going to be smaller than they're shown. It's essentially, they're intentionally overstated for purposes of stormwater calculations. If that makes any sense to you, that seems to be something that I've been struggling to kind of convey linguistically to the board from hearing to hearing. We're not committing to this size of home, but we're committing to no more than the impervious area that that is predicated upon. As far as the lots sharing a common driveway, well, as I indicated earlier, Lot 3 is its own entity in a sense. It doesn't share a driveway, and it meets zoning, and we're not required. It's not a subject of the common driveway application. It does, because of the topography and the way that the lot is sloped, it makes sense to include it in the overall stormwater management design
It has to be included.
for the benefit, really, of the other lots. And so,
Excuse
one of
me,
the reasons why I think that there's this struggle with separate O&M plans was because, just kind of coming in from 50,000 square feet and looking at this, I think that they proposed one O&M plan, but then thought that the board wanted them to be broken out, and that's probably because, if I had to guess, the desire was expressed that they wanted them to be kind of off on their own.
I was at that meeting, Jeff, and I don't remember.
think that's right.
I don't remember that.
Yes.
No.
What we really wanted was for all three lots to have common responsibility
Right.
for the integrated stormwater management system. That's what we wanted. And it seemed that a single O&M plan that applied to all three lots was the right thing to do.
That's right, and that's what we
So,
wanted.
yeah, I agree with Ann. I don't understand why we're to individual O&M agreements at this point. It would seem like one would suffice for all three lots, but maybe you have some other rationale for that. One other thing I might just point out, just to go back to your comment about maximum house size, I understand that, but our approval will be based, if we do approve it, will be based on this layout, and there's no way we can foresee that this layout will be smaller unless you commit to a smaller layout. So it'll be based on this layout, and the stormwater management system is based on this layout as well. To the extent that changes, we'll need to see that any changes don't affect the performance of the stormwater system. But we have to go in assuming that whatever you put on as a sort of a maximum size could and may actually be built.
Yeah, I fully agree, which is why they're larger than what we would expect.
But I would think that if these houses are in fact larger than you expect to build, would it not be wiser to show us smaller, which would have less of an impact on the stormwater, rather than going for the bigger, which would take up more space?
First, the homeowner who buys each individual lot is going to want to design their homes, right? So,
I never heard that.
so we don't know, what what that's gonna be. And that's why it is in fact overstated. I think that, Paul, I don't know if you feel like jumping in, but that's my understanding as to, why it shows this, why it was designed this way. Mindful of also the fact that this is not the special permit, and even though it shares a common stormwater permit design from an engineering perspective, and needs a common stormwater permit because that is what we applied for. I'm concerned that the board might be overstepping its authority in treating this as if it is a special permit, and therefore that the board might be able to regulate exactly, plans on this lot, when what we're talking about effectively is a common driveway administrative site plan permit.
Wait a minute. We're also talking about a public hearing for a stormwater permit
I recognize that, Karen.
because of the size of the project.
Yeah, no, I know that. I'm just pointing out that this isn't a special permit, and it's.
Yes, it is for stormwater.
No, it's not it's a public hearing for stormwater and a site plan administrative review for the common driveway. We're not trying to overreach beyond what's the scope of the board. We're trying to get the stormwater managed in an appropriate, responsible way that a homeowner can maintain after the fact.
Understood, I agree.
With some sensitive.
Anything more than we would have been asking for in any other stormwater permit. We want to know that the stormwater system will function as designed, and that there's a basis for design that should it change and cause any material impacts, that you will come back and provide that request to change, right? And provide whatever, if it requires a design change to the stormwater management system, then that's what should happen, right? But basically, the idea is the stormwater management should function as designed, and that the property owners who take over the responsibility for it should operate it and maintain it in a fashion that it continues to function for its entire life, right? So.
All right.
Paul, have you received, I just want to confirm that you received from Karen the comments or from the planning board on the O&M plans that you submitted, and that is assuming that we don't change this back to a single O&M plan situation, which is what I hear is the preference of the board. Have you received those comments, Paul?
I believe so. I have to go back and look.
Those comments were on the original common O&M plan, right? Now we have three separate plans.
Three separate plans.
Around which I do have comments on as well. So before we throw a whole bunch of comments around, I guess we ought to get clear, what are you going to produce here? Is it a common O&M plan, or is it the individual O&M plans for each lot? Our preference being to have a common O&M plan.
What's it going to be? We're waiting.
I need to confer. I understand your preference, but I sitting here right now, especially in the context of a Zoom meeting, not even having my client near me, but bringing in a new member to this team and understanding what you want, I need to have that communication, and I can't answer that question as I'm sitting here right now, Steve.
That's fine. I think it's just one of your homework items. It's just, we need to know what we're reviewing, right? And we've got three individual plans, and we have one common plan, right? So.
And we have and we also, we also have a common driveway easement that in point of fact doesn't work. It is truly unfair to require someone, and we're having a hearing on, discussion on this later this evening, with an individual who has an easement for a common driveway and feels he cannot, his property is, his garage is 10 feet up from this easement. And that's why he's coming in looking for some type of relief. And you all are creating exactly the same situation with lot number 2. And it's really not fair to do that. So I think you need to go back to your plans and figure out a better way for this common driveway and its easement.
I think I heard that on your list of things to do, right?
Yep.
I think I'd like to add one more thing to the list of things to do. I think we need a new stormwater permit application as well, so that I can appropriately make proper findings for how much land disturbance there really is.
So Karen, I'm not sure, in other words, we've applied for a permit for the entire tract.
That's
And
correct.
then through the course of the hearing, we've apparently broken down O&M plans into 3 separate lots.
Correct?
But it's still one stormwater permit for the whole tract.
Correct.
So assuming we go with the one scenario, are you still looking for a new permit application?
I'd like an updated permit application for the 3 lots that comprise the stormwater permit, because a lot has changed on the plan since it was first brought in. I figured out by my own mathematics, squares and rectangles, how much land disturbance there is. I'm sure Mr. Marabito can do it better on the CAD program, because so much, now we have a vegetated buffer in the back that wasn't on the first submission. So I think an updated stormwater application is in order.
And Karen, just so I can be clear, is if assuming we submit an updated stormwater permit application, would that provoke a new hearing process, or you're just
No,
anticipating that
just
we
updated.
supplement to the existing hearing with additional data?
That's exactly the latter that you said.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, yeah, do you mind, I've got another thing I think would be useful to follow up on it.
Yes, go for it.
I took a look at the declaration of common driveway easement, and there's a section in there that talks about sort of adverse impact on the stormwater system because of the failure of a lot owner to maintain the stormwater improvements on his or her lot. And I think that needs to be sort of a little more broadly stated in that, the adverse impact could be on, the other 2 lot owners, or it could be on an abutting property. So I think that should be modified to capture the notion that a lot owner's failure to maintain could impact an abutting property too.
That's a fair comment. Thank you for reading the document. I'll take a look at that.
All right.
And one other comment on it, on section 5, it talks about it may be modified or amended only by written agreement of the lot owners. I think that should also require a planning board approval if there's any material modifications. We wouldn't want anybody coming in and modifying this and essentially gutting the maintenance provisions.
Of course.
All right, any comments from the board, Patty?
No.
Ben?
My only comment is, again, I've brought this up in past hearings, in regards to, I guess, the site design as a whole. I think this is, you know, it's been said, this is a lot of development on a fairly small tract. And I think it would have been, from a site design perspective, a really nice opportunity to try to marry the stormwater permit with the common driveway design standards. I've voiced my opinion in the past that I thought that the stormwater basins, which were just intended to be loamed and seeded, would probably be better as vegetated areas and function more as kind of bioretention BMPs that could add some sort of screening and environmental function. There was never a survey of existing mature trees driving by the site. It's a very wooded area. The design standard A of 720.7 for common driveways is location and construction of common driveways should minimize soil disturbance, vegetation removal, and drainage impacts, and preserve existing trees over 12-inch caliper and other natural features of special significance. What I'm seeing is really like a wholesale clear cutting and filling of this site, and I've never been convinced that the design standard A is really being met here, which makes me feel bad that this is kind of how our common driveway bylaw is being used. I would love to see some more innovation in the design. I would love to see less fill, more preservation of large trees, so it doesn't look like this sort of scorched earth development from the front. That's kind of how I feel about it. I defer to the board and all the other issues that you guys are aware of, but that's just kind of my general feeling about how this design is going.
Thank you. Rebecca?
So Ben, just if it's okay, and can I just
Let me get through the rest of the board, Jeff. Hang on. You're not going anywhere. Rebecca?
I'm good right now.
Okay.
I'm going with Ben.
Okay. Bob? You're all set.
Yeah, no, I just, with Ben, I just wanted to, I understand generally the concern, and some of it is inescapable, right? So I think what you're asking is for us to look at vegetating basin areas, like having vegetated basin areas as opposed to clear cutting those areas. Is that what I'm hearing, Ben?
I think that would be a nice option, considering loss of privacy what was a major concern of the abutters, and I think that also with the amount of disturbance going on in the site, if we're really looking at that design standard A of preserving existing trees and natural features of significance, I mean, I think that would be, it's not that dissimilar than kind of the idea of mitigation that a conservation commission or something might propose when working in a resource area. It's basically we're trying to put back some of the good that was taken away in order to do the common driveway and the lot development, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Makes perfect sense.
Thank you, Ben.
And then, just one further comment before we go to Q&A. Under 720.2, purpose, it is to preserve a rural atmosphere, to protect wetlands and sensitive natural areas, and you all want to go in and clear cut it and fill it. So there are some real issues here. And that said, do we have people?
We do.
All right.
We'll enter a formal Q&A session. If
Thank
you have
you.
any comments or questions, please listen to your phone directions or your computer directions.
Q&A session has started.
Okay.
One pending.
Oh, God, I'm mad at this.
Go ahead.
All right, whatever. Hi,
Fine.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay, it's Sherry and Alan Wasserman. We've listened with interest to the hearing. We appreciate the hard work that everybody's trying to do to make this the best possible result. And we don't have anything to ask or add at this point.
Thank you.
That seems to be the only
That's
one.
it. All right.
Q&A session is over.
All right, so basically you would like to continue this. Is that what you're saying, Mr. DeLisi?
What I'm saying,
Okay.
Madam Chairman.
How long do you need to submit the stuff? We have, the dates we have available are January 14th or January 28th.
Well, if those are the available dates, I'll jump in and say January 14th.
All right.
So you'll have to move to continue it till January 14th at 7 o'clock?
Yes. I'll move to extend the stormwater public hearing and a site plan administrative review for a common driveway, 16, 18 through 20 Man Hill Road, until 7 o'clock on January 14th, 2021, with a date to file January 30th, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Ms. Burbine?
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard?
Thank you all for your comments tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Pritchard?
Say aye. Steve? Hello?
Mr. Bornstein?
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein?
Aye.
Mr. Lambert? Ms. Lewis?
Aye.
All in favor, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy the debate.
Okay, now we have, what do we have? We have a special permit, accessory dwelling for 8 o'clock, and so we have 25 minutes. So, Karen?
Is anybody, see if anybody else is on the line for the,
Greg Morris is on the line, Kevin Grady is on the line.
so see if Greg Morse is on the line for, see if he's ready for 29 Long Meadow.
Greg, are you ready for 29 Long Meadow?
Yes.
Okay, then let's go forward.
Do you want me to put it on?
For the record, this is Greg Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the property applicant, Fox Run 2 Realty Trust. This is an A&R division of land located at 29 Long Meadow Road. The property is located in the R2 zoning district. The property is rather large in size. Our proposal is to divide it into 2 lots. Lot A is 537,646 square feet. Lot B is 189,793 square feet. 20,000 square feet is the minimum in the district. The lots all have frontage on Long Meadow Road, which is a public road. It's maintained by the town of Scituate. It has utilities in it. It is paved. The frontage meets the minimum requirements in the zoning bylaw. I believe the plan's entitled to endorsement. I turn it over to you for any questions.
All right, Karen?
The plan does have frontage on the cul-de-sac, and as being on a cul-de-sac, you can reduce the frontage to 60 feet. So it has frontage and it has access. So I think by right, you really need to endorse this plan. It might be creating some problem in its own, but I think you have to endorse it. You will put the stamp on it. It's not conforming to zoning. The wetlands have not been approved by the Conservation Commission, but I think there is no question that there's enough lot area to meet the requirements for the upland area.
Thank you. Comments from the board? Okay. Patty?
I move to endorse as approval not required a plate of land showing a division of 29 Long Meadow Road. The A portion assesses parcel 27-6-58 and 27-6-60 in Scituate, Mass. Stamped by Douglas A. Aberg, PLS of Morse Engineering, Inc. For the applicant owner Leo Costello of Fox Run 2 Realty Trust, dated October 7, 2020. As the division of the tract of land shown on the accompanying plan is not a subdivision because every lot shown on the plan has frontage of at least the distance presently required by the Situate zoning bylaw on the public way of Long Meadow Road.
Is there a second? Further discussion? All those in favor?
Ms. Burbine?
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein?
Aye.
Ms. Lambert?
Aye.
Ms. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard?
Aye.
Unanimous, all in favor, thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right, can we do the endorsement of the residential? Is anybody here for that?
Kevin Grady's on the line, it looks like.
All right, Kevin, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, good.
We could hear you. Where'd you go?
I'm still here.
All right. Okay, we have on our agenda to endorse the residential compound development special permit. Okay, Karen, is this just a,
So I am recommending that you do endorse the plans. Today is the 90th day, so you really kind of either have to endorse or continue the time for endorsement. I would recommend endorsement that you retain the revised, you retain the Mylars until we get a revised homeowners association private access agreement. Also, the planning board conditioned that the pipe at the beginning of the development be ductile iron. And we asked for a certification of that. Kevin says that he cannot get a certification for that, but he can get a certification for HDPE pipe. John Chesia has reviewed that, agrees that it's okay as long as there's TV inspections prior to, and compaction testing prior to the binder and prior to as part of the as-bills. So the report says that he agrees with that, and so that's how I've written the motion for those things in the motion.
okay. Comments from the board?
Yeah, this is Steve. So, I'm not sure I follow why we can't get it certified the way it was designed. What's creating that?
So I can answer that. John and Karen, in their review, requested that the pipe at the intersection be ductile iron and that we get it certified by the manufacturer that it can withstand the loading based on the depth of cover at the intersection. I contacted the local manufacturer's representative and asked them if I could get a certification. He consequently contacted the ductile iron company, and they specifically said they would not certify it. They talked about doing concrete and a number of other things, but they said that they wouldn't do it. So we looked at other alternatives. I had designed HDPE from the beginning, and ADS pipe does have guidance and standards on depth of cover, and they do warrant the depth of cover that we are proposing. And it's been on the plan the entire time that it requires certain backfill, and those specifications are on the plan. And it's a common engineering practice at the depth of cover that we're proposing. So I think it meets the loading requirements. We just could not get the manufacturer to give me a certification on the ductile iron pipe.
Okay.
I also also forwarded the context of the email to Karen in our attempts to acquire that certification. It's easier for them to say no, basically is what it comes down to, I think, Steve.
Yeah, it would just seem to me, they say we're designing and we're manufacturing this particular pipe to a set of specifications, whether they're, ANSI specifications or some other specification, and that the loading analysis is really a function of whoever the civil engineer is in terms of what they need, right? I'd be surprised if anybody certified that without knowing exactly what kind of cover it was and all of that too. So I'm not surprised at all. It would seem to me that all they would say is we're building to these particular national standards, and you do the design and determine whether the loading is adequate or not.
And that's basically, ADS has that as they have their, I forget what they call it, but they have their protocol and their warranty to certain depths based on cover. And that was our only alternative. I don't design their pipe or do the testing on their pipe on either the ADS or the HDPE. So I have to rely on them at some level to produce this information, and I just couldn't get it. I tried a few avenues, and they wouldn't do it. So when Karen and John have suggested that we inspect the pipe before binder and prior to as-built, that it is in that it hasn't been diminished at all or compromised at all. It is a standard engineering practice, and the warranties are available online, and also added them to the plan.
Okay.
Karen, is this some kind of unusual request we made?
No, the condition was made based on the fact of John Cheshire reviewing it, and he questioned, because it's a shallow, the pipe only had about a foot of cover, and under those circumstances, most people use ductile iron. So we had a condition in the approval that you had to have shop drawings, and you had to have a manufacturer's certification. So we've been working with Kevin, and John has reviewed the plans for endorsement. John, I provided you with John's report, and he, although he has witnessed several pipe collapses, he says that with the proper compaction and the TV cameraing before the binder, you should be able to tell if the pipe is holding its own. And then if they camera again as part of the as-built, we'll know that it's all the pipe will be there. All the heavy stuff is going to happen during construction. They can always, once the binder's down, they can even steel plate it, to make sure that the pipe is not impacted during construction. But, I mean...
I have seen ductile iron used in this scenario in the past. I have not acquired a manufacturer's certification before, though. We have used this. But also, ADS does have the testing and the warranty, and in this location, it isn't it's not like Countryway or a major road that's going to see heavy equipment and heavy traffic over time. Once it's in, you're going to see residential, small volume traffic and loads. So I think it's more than appropriate to use this in this instance.
Okay, well, at the end of the day, that's your call because you're the design engineer, and regardless of whether it's HDPE or ductile iron, I think the responsibility still rests with the design engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Understood.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Patty?
I move that the planning board endorse the plans for the residential compound development special permit entitled Special Permit Plan Residential Compound Development Subdivision 0 in 483 Country Way, Scituate, Mass., provided by Grading Consulting LLC, consisting of 20 sheets dated May 28, 2019, with revisions through September 30th, 2020, with the plans to be retained until a revised draft of the private access agreement / homeowners association has been submitted with the required items from condition 21 included in the documents. The planning board agrees that HDPE can be used in lieu of ductile iron pipe as specified in condition 18, as there will be compaction testing and a TV inspection of the pipe with a go, no-go gauge for deflection on or out-of-route conditions prior to the pavement installation, witnessed by the town's engineer and the applicant's engineer. A second camera inspection is also required as part of the as-built submittal to verify the pipe is still as installed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Ms. Burbine?
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein?
Aye.
Ms. Lambert?
Aye.
Ms. Lewis? Aye. Mr. Pritchard?
Aye.
All in favor, thank you, unanimous.
Okay, we still have a few minutes. We also have a motion. Has Hal resigned?
Yes.
He
You
has.
just want to let Kevin know he can go.
Excuse me?
Just want to let Kevin know he can go.
Kevin, you're all set. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Have a good night, everyone.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So we received a letter from Hal Stokes from the Design Review Committee. Hal has been on since the beginning, which is probably about 12 years. And he is just at a place in his life where it's time to move on. And so I would recommend we appoint Paulette O'Donnell to the Design Review Committee. O'Connell, sorry. She interviewed twice with us, and she's a practicing architect, and I think she would fit in really nicely with for the Design Review Committee.
Okay.
I move to appoint Paulette O'Connell to a 3-year term on the Design Review Committee for a term running from November 9, 2020 to November 9, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion from the board? All in favor?
Ms. Burbine?
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein?
Aye.
Ms. Lambert?
Aye.
Ms. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard?
Aye.
Thank you, unanimous, all in favor.
All right, why don't we do approved minutes?
Approval?
Yeah.
Okay. I move to approve the meeting minutes for October 8th, 2020.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Ms. Burbine?
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein?
Aye.
Ms. Lambert?
Aye.
Ms. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard?
Aye.
Thank you, unanimous, all in favor.
Okay, Patty, accounting?
I move to approve the requisition of $1,145 to Chester Consulting Services for the peer review of 18 Ford Place, for $5,526 to Chester Consulting Services inclusive of traffic review for the peer review of 48 through 52 New Driftway, for $250 to Chester Consulting Services for peer review of residential compound 0 Country Way, 0 Rear Country Way, for $3,022.50 to Harriman Associates for consulting services on the master plan, for $16.75 to Schwab Inc. for a nameplate for Bob McLean, and for $175.92 to Amazon for the purchase of headsets.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Ms. Burbine?
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein?
Aye.
Ms. Lambert?
Aye.
Ms. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard?
Aye.
All in favor, thank you, unanimous.
We still have a few minutes. Anything on liaison reports?
As most of you know, we had our final public workshop for the master plan last Tuesday evening. It was in a all virtual format, obviously, and I think it went fairly well considering that we had to do it all online and manage all the participants and try to get what information we could. So we're moving forward with that. The consulting team is working on their draft. I haven't heard from them yet this week. There was some correspondence last Friday with them, and so far it seems like we're on track to have a draft towards the end of this month, and then would have the next advisory committee meeting to figure out next steps and review, probably in early to mid-November, and then we'd be kind of moving through the motions of reviewing that document and kind of working towards the final draft and then presentation to the planning board. So things are moving forward. I'll keep everyone apprised, and hopefully we'll be getting some form of a rough draft by the end of the month.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Shellfish?
There's nothing worth talking to the planning board about.
Okay. All right, Patty, do you have anything?
No, zoning and conservation are moving slowly but surely. That's, everybody's taking it easy. This is such a hard format for everybody.
Yes,
It really
very
is.
difficult. Rebecca? Okay.
Oh, other than, no, I think I already talked about that.
Okay.
Other meeting.
And I don't have anything because CPC doesn't meet until next week, and traffic rules meets next week. So at the next meeting, I'll have stuff. All right, so that's that. Still have a couple of minutes. Karen, do you
yeah.
need more than 3 minutes?
No, I don't need more than 3 minutes. I mean, it seemed like everyone liked the new Juliet balcony for Drew, so I'll be sending a revised letter to them. The next meeting is November 5th, and then we meet November 12th, and then November 16th is town meeting. And so we don't meet after that until the first week in December, because we modified our schedule for the holidays.
Okay.
We're still remaining very busy, and we're going to be very busy the next few months.
Yes, we are, exceedingly so. All right,
So I don't know if we have time to quickly go down the liaison report.
Sure.
The liaison positions, now that Bob we have a new alternate, we should just make sure everybody is happy, and maybe Bob wants to take on something.
Sure.
what would you like to do?
What do you want to do?
I mean, is it the South Shore Coalition is the only one that's still unassigned, or?
All right, here's the thing with the Social Coalition. I did that for a long, long time. And actually, it's incredibly important. I think they're having a meeting this week to talk about the MBTA cutting back on transit, as well as maybe even deep sixing the Hingham ferry. So, I mean, they meet now at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday up at Hingham Town Hall.
Oh, okay.
And that just, for me, just did not work.
Yeah.
So, we can look into that.
Okay.
I'll look into it.
Okay.
You can take one of mine. Since I don't
Yeah, feel free to take
You
any
can
of
take one of mine.
What looks good to you?
Every single Wednesday.
And so when I saw this originally, I wasn't sure if someone's in there, then I couldn't.
No,
do it,
you
so
can take
if
one.
I could maybe, I guess, get back to you with.
Sure, I mean,
You know what I think that you might like, though, what I would say, just to get you a little more familiar, is the Public Buildings Commission.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
kind of an
you'd love
interesting,
that.
huh?
You'd love public building.
It's kind of an interesting little overview,
All right.
yeah, if you'd like to do that, yep.
Sure.
EDC,
Yeah,
maybe.
sign me up for public building.
Okay.
And the other one you might like is economic development. I used to be chair of that committee, and you can have that.
Oh, nice.
No, it's good. They're coming before CPC looking for money.
Economic development?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, it is now 8 o'clock and time for our,
Okay, wait, hold on.
all right?
Whoops. That's never
All
good.
right, are we all set?
Yeah, I'm just looking for our applicant. Hold on.
I saw it down there.
I like that. Back up.
Is it Ken?
I saw it. It's there, right? Isn't that the last name?
Yeah, he was on this video. He was on video, I don't know.
Oh.
Want me to give you the public hearing notice?
Yes,
No, I
please.
didn't.
I'll do it.
Thank you.
It's all the same, it says to the.
All right, it's now 8 o'clock, and we're having a public hearing, a special permit for an accessory dwelling at 16 Gannett Road. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Sections 9 and 11, and with the Scituate zoning bylaw, Section 530, accessory dwelling special permit, and Section 940 referrals, the planning board will conduct a public hearing at 8 p.m. on Thursday, October 22nd, 2020, in the Selectmen's Hearing Room at Scituate Town Hall, 600 Chief Justice Cushing Highway. The subject of the hearing is an application submitted by applicant owner Jason and Melanie Lalio at property located at 16 Gannett Road, Scituate. Property as shown on the assessor's map, block parcel 08-04-010. Plans are available for review in the planning board office, Town Hall, Scituate, by appointment only. Participation in the public hearing for abutters and other interested parties will be via remote access only. And if you need further information, call the planning office. All right, do we have the applicant?
Sounds like it.
Looks like it's muted.
Is he muted?
Is that you, Jason?
Who we looking for?
Is it
Jason?
Jason?
He just went away.
Karen McGuire, I think she was a letter writer. Okay, do we have the applicant?
I think he got disconnected.
Okay.
I think he pushed the wrong button. Okay.
He muted himself.
He did?
Okay, well,
I had muted and he muted himself.
Jason, call him in.
Well, any suggestions as to what we should do?
I'm gonna try this.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I think I'm finally unmuted, thank you.
All right, and would you please identify yourself, sir?
Yes, sure, my name is Jason Lolio, and I am the owner of 16 Gannett Road.
All right, and if you would tell us what you are planning to do, sir?
I am coming before the board to have an existing structure be granted a special permit as an accessory dwelling.
Okay. All right. And this is something that already exists, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you are basically trying to legitimize this accessory apartment?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay. All right, Karen, would you care to comment?
No, I mean, the applicant has filed to legitimize the existing garage building in the back as an accessory dwelling. He purchased the building after it was built there. It's already got full kitchen, et cetera. And so in order to be used as an accessory dwelling, it needs to have a special permit.
Okay. All right, comments from the board?
Well, this, I guess I'm curious, how long has this been, what seems like a built-to-suit accessory dwelling without the permit?
Well, as far as we can figure out, the building department somehow approved some of this in 2017. There are no files in the building department. They have grown feet
And walked.
on this project. So I would say it's been there since approximately 2017.
Year ago.
Mr. Lulio purchased the property in August 2019. He did some improvements on the property, and then he has filed to legitimize the accessory dwelling.
Okay. All right, comments from the board. Patty?
Not at this time.
All right, Ben?
No, thank you.
No. Nope. No? Steve? Come on, don't let me down.
Well, I guess I will state that it may be obvious that nobody's stating is that I don't believe that the zoning bylaw was intended to legitimize, construction that was just built.
No, it was not just, no, it was not,
In what looks like to be an accessory dwelling.
with all due respect, Steve, it was not just built as an accessory or as an apartment. It's probably been there for a good number of years.
Yeah.
The,
Not the garage.
the garage?
No,
No,
the house has been there, but not the garage.
he put the garage up.
The garage is new.
The garage is new.
The whole garage, not just the structure.
The whole garage is new from approximately 2017.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected, Steve.
Right, and they built it out as an accessory dwelling without any approvals.
That's right.
That's right. Mhm.
That's correct.
Now they're coming in after the fact.
But it
Now,
has,
It's a private homeowner.
Just to be clear, if you don't mind, I mean, I purchased the home, I did not construct this structure, I did not go before the town to get a permit, but my understanding is that the previous owner did go before the town, did get approvals to build this structure. I think when it was approved to be built with 2 bedrooms and on the second floor with a bath. I'm unsure about that kitchen aspect. I mean, as it exists right now, there absolutely is a kitchen in there. That is how I purchased the property. There is not a working stove. And in speaking with Bob Vogel, that is what he indicated, that in order to get a working kitchen with a stove and cooking, you need to go before the planning board and get this qualified as an accessory dwelling, which is what I am now trying to do.
Okay. That makes sense.
Not really.
And to someone else's previous point, it was approved by the building department. I do have a letter that indicates approval of the building permit and use as 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. I took a picture of it actually before I bought this property just so I could have a documentation for my own files. However, when I went back to the building department, as someone previously said, I'm not sure if that was Karen, but the file no longer exists, which had a lot more information in there, and unfortunately that somehow does not exist anymore in the town records.
that's a true statement.
Curious, sir, and curious, sir.
Absolutely, I'm just as curious as everybody.
I mean, I guess in point of fact, it should have been approved to be built as an accessory dwelling, right?
I'm not sure that it,
A garage is one thing. Can be done, right? But I mean, I feel like we created the accessory dwelling bylaw to legitimize old accessory dwellings, and here we sort of near term created an old accessory dwelling, which seems to defeat the purpose.
Okay. All right, we have someone on the line that would like to speak.
Okay, so we're gonna go to formal Q&A.
Yes.
Please listen to the instructions on your telephones or computers on how to get into the queue.
Q&A session has started.
Okay, we have one pending question.
I'm in a butter, and my question.
Would you please
to
identify
the
yourself?
planning board is that I do not recollect ever getting any notification of this dwelling or being built. It was an empty lot. There was nothing there.
What is your name, madam?
And, you know,
Excuse me, what is your name? Your name and address.
Karen McGuire,
And your address, ma'am?
and we're 20 Collier Avenue.
Thank you.
So I can kind of look over at this building and watch it being built, and have to say I was, as I saw the sides keep increasing, and then suddenly a back deck being put on there, and French doors and so forth. I was completely surprised that we had not, as neighbors at the time the thing was being built, been notified of the intent that, to build a structure as large as it was supposed to be a garage, not a house. But that is bigger than some of the houses in Gannett. And it was an absolutely empty lot. And it was done, kind of, over the winter time when a lot of people are away.
Well, if
I don't know what the zoning or the building department did, but if the records have gone missing, that is also a concern, because no notification was sent out to the abutters.
a notification for a building permit is not needed. I mean, this is the first.
A building permit that's building a house with a garage with 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, a living room, and a deck, I think probably should have been, passed out to the neighbors.
And that's why they're here now. They can't legitimately have a full kitchen in that back building. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to tell you that this is what they're here for now, to have a full kitchen. And you can build a garage with an upstairs and then come back in retro and get a permit for it for an accessory dwelling. It seems to be happening a lot in Scituate right now, and the planning board doesn't exactly like to see it happen that way because it doesn't give the neighbors any input when the intention is to use it as an accessory dwelling. But technically you can build a garage with an upstairs and just not have a kitchen, all under a regular building permit.
That's right. Ben, do you have something you want?
Is this a non-conforming lot?
Is this a non-conforming
This a
lot?
front, like,
No, it's now, it's,
If you look at the siding of the building in question too, it's literally on top of people. So the moors next door, I mean, it's right there. It's right, it's as close to the lot line as it could possibly, lot line to lot line, right within 2 inches of the zoning requirements, and it's big. And one of the concerns that we all have in that little area is that this accessory, this so-called garage is grandfathered into accessory dwellings, grandfathered into whatever, has meant that there are a lot of extra summer homes that have been squeezed into what are already incredibly tiny lots.
the lot was at one time pre-existing non-conforming. The house was built, the house on the property, the main house, was built in 1910. They went back and got a Section 6 finding to increase the size of the house.
Right.
According to the assessor's card, the house is now the lot is now 12,379 square feet. They did add the portion in the back a while ago via a Form A.
oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
So they added you refer to the building in the back.
Yes.
was added in 2017. Is that correct? Is that what you're talking about?
We're talking about the lot.
We're talking about the lot area. The lot area in back is formerly known as Lot B2, and it's joined to the front lot to make it 12,379 square feet. So it is, right now, a conforming lot. The existing house is pre-existing non-conforming.
And
Ben?
I'm just trying to, I'll look it up. Don't.
All right. So,
And what was the expansion done on the house recently? How much was that expanded on the main house, on the front, on Gannett?
But that's not really the subject of this hearing. That was,
That was also expanded.
but that has nothing to do with this hearing tonight. This is only about,
No, I'm just wondering if there's an amount of lot area limit that you're allowed to cover, but, I don't know.
there's not a there's not a lot area coverage in the town of Scituate.
Yeah.
next question?
So, just from the perspective of this particular, sort of rogue accessory dwelling, there is no intent to build anything more on this.
No.
This is the physical existing piece of structure will stay the same.
I don't know if
Doesn't change.
answer because it's question.
All right, we're still in Q&A, Steve.
Correct.
Hold on a minute. We have one more person.
This is Mike,
Hopefully,
Michael Steyer from Nike Collier Ave. Where did the plans for this go? Why has all the documentation of all this suddenly disappeared from the records? This makes no sense. It all looks like very shady. I don't understand. Why don't we have records of any of this going on? It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't happen anyplace else.
It's not the planning board's
it has
fault.
nothing to do with the planning board. You have to talk to whomever's in charge in the building department.
Okay.
Okay? I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's what happened. So, anyway,
Very unfortunate. It also looks very, very sort of shady.
well, I would not want to put that term on it. I really wouldn't. I don't think that was the intent
Okay, well,
here.
it's hard to really justify it.
We're gonna end.
All right, thank you very much for your comment. Thank you.
Q&A session is over.
All right, Steve, you were saying,
Well, I guess, we don't have any control over how it got built in the first place.
That's right.
So it's really just about whether we think it meets the requirements of a special permit for an accessory dwelling. And so I guess I'm just asking, first question is, does this structure change at all under an issuance of an accessory dwelling? Or is it physically going to remain the same?
Can you hear me, or am I still muted?
no, go ahead, answer the question.
So again, this is the owner. The structure has been described by some of my abutters incorrectly. There is no deck, not that needs anything, but there is no deck on this structure. I know someone mentioned that a couple times. The setbacks from my lot line meet and far exceed a lot of all of the building codes. And you can see on the left side, I provided the plot plan. On the left side is the closest proximity to my lot line, which is 8 feet 9 inches. But on the right side of the property, it is 29 feet from a property line, and from the back of it, we're over 20 feet. So the setbacks of the structure absolutely meet all of the building requirements. But to answer your question, no, I am not changing the size. I am not doing a thing. I bought a structure that I was under the impression was already a legal dwelling. Unfortunately, maybe I didn't do my correct due diligence, but I am now found out that it is not the case. So I am trying to do the correct thing and make sure it is legal in the town's eyes. And so the structure will not change. It is not increasing. There will be nothing done to that structure.
Okay, and how is the structure provided water and sewer?
So the sewer department has some conflicting records as well. So there is water and sewer to this because the building department granted the building permit to include a bathroom and a laundry area, which certainly needs water and sewer. So there is water to the property. There is also sewer to the property. So I understand as some of my requirements to make this an accessory dwelling is I need to now pay the betterment for sewer. I believe it is tied into an existing sewer line, the 6-inch line that comes from the main house, which, as I understand from the sewer department, is acceptable. I just have to pay now the $6,500 betterment charge. And as far as the water goes, I understand there's also a significant water line hookup fee, which I am, obviously prepared, unfortunately, but fortunately, I will pay that because that is the requirement to get this special permit. So I am with both of the departments to make that.
This will be on a separate water meter then?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and what's the egress on this building? How do you get in and how do you get out?
So I worked through the egress issues with Bob Vogel, and he has sent an email to Karen and the planning board to let them know that this structure does meet the required egress. There is a side, I think I provided floor plans, but there is a side exit on the first floor, and there are two doors for the rear entrance that two patio doors that provide rear exit and entrance to the property, to the dwelling. So he said that does meet the building requirements.
Okay, so this is not just above the garage then?
Correct.
This is a first floor dwelling as well?
The garage,
There is a first, go ahead.
no, go ahead, you can explain.
Yeah, so again, in the documents that I provided, I had to provide a floor plan. So there is a garage on the first floor, and behind that garage would be the kitchen area, and there's stairs leading up to the two partitioned bedrooms and bathroom.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking for that layout.
It's in the materials I gave you, Steve.
I'm sorry?
It's in the materials with the application, the whole application materials.
Oh, okay, it's in the application. Probably why I missed it.
Okay.
We can't see that anybody saw it.
Go ahead, if anybody else has questions.
No, Ben, Patty, Bob, Rebecca? There it is. Steve, can you see it?
Yeah, I'm kind of pulled up now. Okay. And this goes upstairs as well then?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the next page will be the second floor.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's kind of an L-shaped stairway as you see there.
Mm-hmm. And so you get in via the stairs, and it has, I'm assuming it has adequate windows, et cetera, to act as egress?
Yeah, so if you can see in that picture that you have shown up on my floor plan, that if you start to the front bedroom there, or you see there's double windows, I'm marking all, there's double windows. That first bedroom has three windows, two of them are double, one is single. The one to the front of the house, there's double windows, two double windows.
Okay. And what kind of lighting is on the structure?
Can you be more specific? What do you mean, like interior lighting or exterior?
No, exterior. It's really about whether lights are shining in neighbors' windows.
So exterior, the only exterior lights are in the front of the garage, so right there. So that picture right there. So the two tank windows, the two garage doors have carriage lights above them to illuminate the garage. Just or in and out entry. And then there is on the left side of that picture is that left side entrance to the unit, and there's a very small light right there as well.
Okay. But it's all kind of downwash lights then?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And parking, where will the parking be for this?
Yeah, so if you again look at the picture with the two garages there, to the right of it you see a truck. So to the right of that, that's parking for probably 6 to 8 tandem park cars.
Okay. So plenty of parking then?
Yeah, there's plenty of parking.
Okay, and then you still have to bring gas in?
No, there's gas there.
There's gas here?
Yeah, separate meters, yes.
Wow.
Okay. And it doesn't look like there's any unfinished spaces in this dwelling? There's no, there's no sort of attic space or anything like that.
It's very limited attic. There's a small attic, but it's not, you can't think of that.
Yeah, okay.
All right, are you all set, Steve?
Yes, I think that covers my questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else? Well, I have to say that we do have one positive from a Thomas Moore and an Inez Moore who think that they are supporting the applicant's request. So I think the applicant should be commended for trying to make this legitimate, and the fact that the building department's materials took a hike is not his fault. Therefore, hearing nothing further from the board, Patty, or do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only comment I would have is that it sounds like there's, some people that spoke tonight that maybe aren't too thrilled with the addition of this building a couple of years ago. So
Right.
I don't think it's really within our purpose here tonight to try to condition anything given the circumstances, but I think just as a gesture of good faith between neighbors, perhaps you guys can have an amicable discussion to see how things might be able to, everyone can feel a little bit better about things going forward.
And to follow up on that, this is happening all over my name.
Right.
So,
all right, I move to,
Look, there's a letter that I know was sent by one of the closest abutters that, again, look, I always consider myself a good neighbor. Like, if someone needs help, I'm there to help them. I'm not here to make this an Airbnb, and, I know that's a lot of concern of my neighbors, but, they can see what I've done to the property. I've made it better. I've made it, I've taken down, lots of big overgrown shrubs. I've given my neighbors ocean views. I'm here to be, the best neighbor I can. So I'm not here to turn this property into an Airbnb. I didn't have significant money here. I just want to make sure what I'm doing is legal in the town of Scituate. So that's what my priority.
and I think, sir, you... All
Hi.
right, the dog, okay. All
I
right.
appreciate that. I think, the challenge here is something that has already been, the die has already been cast, so that addressing the legitimization of the accessory dwelling is certainly one of the elements of the zoning bylaws. It's unfortunate that it didn't get addressed and permitted as an accessory dwelling when it was originally built, but we don't have any insight to that particular construction or approval process or anything else.
So we will... All right, so we are moving forward. I move to make the following findings of fact. On September 22nd, 2020, Jason and Melanie Leo applied for a special permit for a detached accessory dwelling on the property at 16 Gannett Road. 2, according to the town of Situate's assessor's records and the deed, the property at 16 Gannett Road is owned by Jason and Melanie Leo. 3, based on a floor plan submitted by the applicant, the floor area of the proposed accessory dwelling will be approximately 928 gross square feet. This is 34% of the total square footage of the primary dwelling, which is 2,744 square feet, according to the applicant. This meets the size requirements of 530.2F of the zoning bylaw for accessory dwellings, as the bylaw allows 750 square feet, or 40% of the total square footage of the primary dwelling, whichever is greater. The accessory dwelling is subordinate to the existing single-family home. 4, the accessory dwelling unit will be a complete separate housekeeping unit, and there will be only one accessory dwelling on the lot. 5, the property is in the residential R3 zoning district. The proposed attached accessory dwelling structure meets all the required setbacks, building height, and yard requirements for a primary dwelling. The proposed accessory dwelling is proposed to be located in the existing 2-story detached garage. The access will be via a main door and patio doors on the ground level. 7, the appearance of the accessory dwelling will be in keeping with the appearance of the primary dwelling. 8, the plot plan for 16 Gannett Road in Scituate, Mass. shows 2 driveways on either side of the primary dwelling, a 2-car garage, and a gravel parking area to the east of the proposed accessory dwelling, able to accommodate 2 cars. This appears adequate to provide 2 parking spaces for the primary dwelling and 2 spaces for the accessory dwelling. Shouldn't that read 2-car garage? Okay. 9, the owners have submitted a signed notarized statement that they will be occupying one of the units at 16 Gannett Road. 10, the accessory dwelling will be serviced by town water and sewer. DPW requirements for water connections will be met. 11, the application meets the standards of the Scituate zoning bylaw for an accessory special permit. I move to approve the special permit for an accessory dwelling at 16 Gannett Road with the following conditions, in addition to the standard conditions for accessory dwellings approved by the planning board after a public hearing on 12/17/15. 1, except for any changes necessary to meet these conditions, any construction shall substantially conform to the undated floor plans submitted with the application and attached hereto. 2, the number of bedrooms in the accessory dwelling is limited to 2 in the location and size indicated on the floor plan submitted with the application. 3, no further expansion of the accessory dwelling floor plan is allowed without further review by the planning board. Holy moly. 4, upon occupancy of the accessory dwelling, the applicant shall provide a notarized affidavit that they are living in one of the dwelling units. A yearly certification that the owner occupies one of the dwelling units must be provided by March 1st yearly. 5, all requirements of the Board of Health, Building Department, Zoning Board of Appeals, Department of Public Works, Fire Department, and other town agencies must be met prior to occupancy of the accessory dwelling. The accessory dwelling shall conform to all applicable standards in the building, plumbing, electrical, and mechanical, fire and health codes and bylaws. 7, no parking is permitted in the driveway easement areas. 8, water and sewer connections must meet all requirements of DPW Water Division, DPW Sewer Division for the accessory dwelling. 9, any lighting installed shall be down lighting not shed light on abutting properties. 10, construction work shall not begin prior to 7 a.m. weekdays and 8 a.m. on Saturdays, and shall cease no later than 7 p.m. or sunset, whichever is earlier. No construction shall take place on Sundays or legal federal holidays. Construction includes idling of vehicles, delivery of materials to the site, and all other construction activities. 11, runoff from the proposed accessory dwelling shall not be increased from the property. 12, erosion and sedimentation control devices shall be installed to prevent any erosion or sedimentation from leaving the site. During construction, silt sock shall be used as necessary. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Yes, Kara, do you have the plot plan from the building department, or who owns this property?
We have the plot plan was submitted as part of the application.
Only because I'm looking on the assessors database, and this man is not listed as the owner. I'm just saying.
Well, it may not be updated yet. I mean, he bought it in August. We have a deed.
I'm just asking, the last sale date is 2014 on this house, that's why. So that's a long time, ago, 6 years ago.
It takes the town a while to.
Okay, just checking before this man has any other problems, I'm just.
We have the current deed. Mr. Lilio supplied the deed. It was recorded 10/28/2019.
I just don't want to have any more problems than he's already had. Thank you for doing the right thing.
Okay. All those in favor?
Ms. Burbine?
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein?
Aye.
Ms. Lambert?
Aye.
Ms. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard?
Aye.
Unanimous, all in favor, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
We're all set.
Good night. All right, our next item is not until 9 o'clock. It is Mr. Catalano on, is he?
Maybe you just want to let Mr. Lilio know he's all set.
Mr. Lilio? Hello? Jason?
This is here.
All right, who's there?
Jason.
All right, Jason, we're all set. Thank you very much for doing the right thing. Good night.
All right, there's feedback, but am I done?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you're all set.
You're all set.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. There is a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
I think it's his house.
Oh, it's probably the dog. All right.
Can I get the comments back, please?
What would you like?
They're right there, huh?
No, this whole thing here.
All right. So our final item this evening is a discussion of 178 First Parish Road parking pad. And we don't have Mr. Catalano on the line at this point.
Well, we can do the A&R.
Okay.
We can sign it.
That's fine.
Can we get 3 copies?
1, 2, 3.
Take it off.
You can sign mine.
We have to have a whole signing party with the other model.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Put us maybe on pause or something if you'd like.
The residential compound, the 20 streets.
Holy moly.
No, these are for, go to the registry of deeds and stuff like that, so there's 2 pages to sign your marriage.
Do you have a black pen? Thanks. Today's the 23rd?
22nd. One and only.
Hmm?
One and only.
All day?
All day.
Oh, no, just leave that. Oh, no, sorry, you're signing. I'm sorry. I thought you were looking at numbers when.
Yeah.
Think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You've got 3 right there.
2 places here and here. Steve, I'll have to touch base with you at about a time to come out and have these papers signed for the Registry of Deeds.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, and you have to sign it on the site.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we have
yes,
to, we're waiting for
one.
Mr. Catalano.
Sharon?
I asked him to call in 15 minutes forward.
So we're getting close.
Yeah, I want to go home and watch that,
Nope,
You want to?
no,
nope.
no, I'm not sure I want to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be entertainment TV.
My
Be the
brain
best
is
show in
gonna fall
town.
apart.
Sign both places.
I did I just separate sheet of paper? Hello, thank you. Okay, just wait, Mr. Pritchett, okay.
Yeah. And
Should I put a B now, and B behind? That would screw everything up, wouldn't it?
yes.
So we won't do that.
No, don't do that. I'd have to redo all that paper. Why do you want to be and be there?
No. Just makes it easier.
Done. Douglas is on that page. Top line. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst ourselves. Steve, we miss seeing you.
Do you want to take a break for?
Yeah, why don't we
so
take-
that we're off camera for a
Yeah.
few minutes?
Yeah, we're gonna take a break, Steve. Move to, take a 10-minute break. Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Are we expecting to come back?
yes.
Okay.
Because I want you to have something to say about this parking pad.
So we're going to take a 10-minute break. Yeah.
Does he have all the information?
People come out and start.
The last item on our list, which is discussion about a parking pad for Mr. Catalano.
I'm here.
You're here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Technology works.
Occasionally. All right, Karen. Excuse me?
He has to present his case.
All right, Mr. Catalano, would you like to tell the board what you would like to do?
Okay, so listen, I'm not hearing you very well, but I think you just asked me to tell you about my project.
Yes.
Okay, so let me just start off by saying good evening to everybody on the planning board, town planner Karen, Joseph, and Chair Ann Durkin. Thank you for allowing me to present my project tonight. My name is Joseph Catalano, and I own the property at 178 First Parish Road. So the project is a parking pad with an entry portion. The size of the parking pad is 20 feet by 20 feet. The entry to the parking pad is a gradual transition to the parking pad. The parking pad is staked out with survey markings. Grass and loam to the depth of 6 inches will be removed. The ground will be leveled, and then 14 cubic yards of dense grade base will be spread and compacted. That will be followed by 6 cubic yards of 3/4 inch crushed brownstones, which will be spread and compacted. Following that, cobblestones will be placed at the sides of the parking pad and entry portion. The parking pad is going to be constructed at the end of my driveway in my backyard. And the backyard property there has 3 survey markings designating the property line. There is also a privacy fence between the 2 properties. The entry to the parking pad will be constructed on my lawn to the left of the house. Would you like to hear what my contractor said?
Sure.
Okay, so this goes back, and I say he's my contractor, I should tell you that. He's not my contractor, he hasn't been hired. He gave me a proposal, and that's what I'm working off of. I haven't spoken to him in several weeks, but anyway, a while back, he said I should tell the board this. So he said that the entry to the parking pad is entirely on my property.
pad and entry to the parking pad will be constructed of a lower level of dense grade material and a top layer of 3/4 inch crushed stone. The material used to construct the parking pad will do little to change the runoff characteristics. I'm ready to answer your questions, or do you want to hear from me more?
Karen?
So this parcel was previously part of a stormwater permit, part of a larger development stormwater permit?
Stormwater permit, it's already been issued.
Now, the stormwater permit,
Mr. Catalano, excuse me.
Stormwater regulations, there's an exempt activities. It's 1C, and it says construction on any lot that has previously been issued a stormwater permit, so long as that construction substantially conforms to the grading, the limit work, impervious area and drainage characteristics shown on an approved plan. And I also have two engineers that I had spoken to several weeks ago and said that I wouldn't need an engineering certification because the site has been reviewed. The project is not increasing impervious area and the grade is not being changed. And then last week I called up Moore's engineering company, and they were the ones responsible for the stormwater permit. And I explained the parking pad, and I was actually questioning them how much this would cost if I need to get it recertified. And they basically told me that, but they asked me to explain my project. And when I did, they said that it would be exempt because it was going to be constructive pervious material. But I'm waiting for you guys to tell me what I need to do.
All right, if you would give us the chance, Miss Joseph had been speaking.
I can't hear you.
The town planner had been speaking, sir, and if you would allow her to talk, then you will know where we stand. Karen?
so this project was part of a stormwater permit. The stormwater permit has received a certificate of completion. There is no outstanding stormwater permit on it. This proposed parking pad goes right up against the property line, it's in an area that was previously disturbed as part of the disturbed area for the stormwater permit. I question if dense grade is permeable, but that's me. I think everybody got a copy of the plan, and so if the board feels that the plan could potentially alter the drainage characteristics on the site, then you can require an engineer certification to it.
Okay. Here it's up.
The limit of work in the backyard has all been changed by trees that have been cut.
And
So-
were they not supposed to be put back up?
No, Mr. Catalano removed them because they were, in his opinion, I didn't see these trees.
Hearing you, so say that again?
I'm just telling the board that you removed trees in the backyard and put grass in there because the trees were, in your opinion, diseased and dying, and he didn't want them to fall on the house. So he increased the limit of work in the backyard from what was originally approved.
I need to dissuade you from, picturing that backyard as a pristine wooded area. It was the opposite. It was a tangle of tall weeds, fallen trees, branches, leaves that covered what was once a dump. And when the trees were damaged, diseased, or both, and they threatened, people in the house. And you could call up the owner of Dependable Tree Services. He's the one that came out and recommended that I take these trees down. And again, I called him out after a tree hit my house. And to be honest with you, I have two trees that are going to be taken down this Saturday. One fell in my neighbor's yard, and one of his trees fell down too. So there's two more trees that fell down. And I should tell you, the reason for this is this was a dump, and dump trucks dumped
asphalt and some other crazy materials on the trunks of the trees up to a level beyond the roots. So they were killing the trees over time, and that's what happened to this big ancient tree in the back of my yard.
All right. Thank
And I
you.
told you once before that I spent 2 years cleaning up the backyard. There were metal items, glass frames, broken glass, ceramics, concrete items, and I believe I improved the area. It's a nice green area now. Before it was a habitat for mosquitoes.
Was he supposed to replant stuff?
And so as part of that, I asked you to replant shrubs in the back of your yard because the neighbor complained lower than you. Have you planted the shrubs in the backyard?
My neighbor, I've been working with him with the tree removal, and he and I are friends. We don't have any animosity towards each other.
Oh, great. Steve, will you want to say something?
Couple questions. One
Sure,
is,
I can hear you fine.
okay, so first question is, just in looking at what was certified versus what's actually there, was the asphalt coming into the backyard all part of the stormwater design?
No. What? This was a greenhouse, I guess. I didn't live here. I just moved here 3.5 years ago.
I'm asking Karen.
No, what I'm saying is the asphalt. You're talking about what was put on the trees?
No. Mr. Catalano, we need to have you be quiet for a few minutes.
There's an asphalt, there's an extension that looks like of the driveway or whatever that extends into the backyard. Was that part of the stormwater design?
Yes, that was part of the stormwater design because it goes around into the house next door. And actually, the developer put more pavement up into where Mr. Catalano actually wants to put the parking pad there, but that was removed. So, yes, this pavement the pavement shown on this as-built plan was actually all approved, absolutely.
Okay, and that's what I'm looking at in the rear yard picture.
That was approved? No.
This isn't bad.
No, the proposed parking pad is what he wants to put in, but the pavement that's shown on the plan.
I'm looking at the as-built for the stormwater system. And the asphalt, the edge of the asphalt that's shown in the actual picture in the backyard, in the rear yard, is that approved segment. Is that right?
Hold on.
I don't know what picture you're looking at, Steve, I'm sorry.
I'm looking at the stormwater as-built drawing that you sent us.
All right,
This one?
all right, so
The center picture showing the rear yard, is that the edge of the approved work there? The asphalt?
if I go up to this drawing, will you be able to see me, Steve?
No.
Where?
Never mind.
He can't.
This is so frustrating.
The camera towards you.
Anything beyond the common driveway easement has been removed for pavement. So, anything that's on the property line for Lot 3R is pavement. Anything to the right is not pavement now, except when you get to the common driveway easement.
If you turn the camera, he'll be able to see her,
All right.
right?
Karen, do you want me, do you want to, do it?
Sherry, if we turn the camera, right, she'll be able to see her? Yeah.
Should.
If you
See if I
turn,
can highlight it.
hold on.
Oh.
Stop cooperating.
Hello?
Hi.
So, I can't actually put anything on here. I was going to say, I'll point with my pointer, but I can't do that. You can do that.
Here.
Steve, I'm gonna make you the presenter, Steve, and then maybe you'll be able to point.
I will put my screen on. How about that?
Okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna end mine. Hold on 1 second. I just have to end mine first.
Okay.
What's with the echo?
I don't know if it's us.
What?
Hey, Steve, you can open yours.
So I can share now?
Hold on. Did you accept it?
Except what?
I just said you saying something to switch presenter to you.
Okay.
So you should be able to share now.
Okay.
Let's see if technology really does work. Okay.
Well,
I got the little box. I don't know what's going on.
It's a lot of download.
Okay, let's try that.
Are you guys Zooming?
Yep.
no. It's not working. Oh, there we go.
Hey.
Go, Steve.
Can you see what I have on my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to, I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, yeah. Okay. So is this the limit of payment right here?
The orange?
No.
No.
That's the easement.
No, not the orange, just this dotted line.
That's the easement.
That's the easement, that's the common driveway easement, and it is the limit of pavement on Mr. Catalano's property.
But it's not here.
Right, it's not there.
Okay. And where does it stop then? So what are you proposing to do then? Are we picking up existing pavement and?
No, we're not picking up, yes, part of that pavement in the common,
Is that question to me?
No.
No.
the pavement in the common driveway easement exists, Steve. And then he proposes to put the parking pad off of that pavement where you have green on your drawing.
Yeah, I kind of just plugged it in here to say this is what I think you're
That's-
talking about here, right?
That's kind of what he's talking about, exactly, yes. The bottom part is existing pavement.
Oh, so it's on the lot 3R side is existing pavement then?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Does this exist down here?
Yes.
yes, yes,
And it goes up to this spot right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes,
Okay. So he's picking up off of this spot going here, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
yes.
And right now, all of that is pervious, it's grass or whatever.
It's grass, correct, correct.
Grass. And we're proposing to sort of change the pervious nature of it with compacted, like crushed stone and stuff?
Yes.
Yes,
Questions for me, yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, the only thing I would say is that it's not the same, it doesn't act the same, right? Between lawn and, sort of a crushed stone parking pad, right? They have different permeabilities. So I would only say, my only question would be, does that change in permeability have any impact on the performance of the stormwater as it was certified?
Okay.
That would be my question.
Karen, can you answer that?
Well, and obviously, you know I can't answer that, right? I've been told by engineers that it doesn't, but I can't myself answer that. I mean, I've been told by Morris companies who did the original stormwater that this is really like landscaping kind of a thing.
Well, it's not landscaping, it's a little bit beyond that.
No, I mean like a patio kind of a thing.
No.
well, I mean, if you want, he can get an engineer's certification that it's not gonna change the drainage characteristics, if that's what the board wants to do, and to allow him to be able to do it.
I guess what I'm saying is,
I can't hear Karen.
yeah, let me just finish here. If this segment of asphalt was never installed, right?
It was, I think you're talking about a section that was installed and then taken up.
Right here.
That part was installed.
If the stormwater system was designed around that, then it looks like it's relatively similar amount of geometry from a impervious surface area point of view. So it may be, this actually looks like more, but it is semi-permeable here and impervious here, right? So it may be a wash at the end of the day, I guess is what I would say. As long as the contours and all that pretty much stay the same, right?
If I could just tell you that, was that for me, the question?
No, I thought it was Karen, actually.
I'm sorry.
As a way of just kind of offsetting, because if they've already made this pervious when we designed it as impervious,
No.
then there's probably
The lower part,
offsetting.
the lower part of your green area is still impervious. That's asphalt. And so he just proposes to put the parking beyond that.
Oh, this is that? I thought you said they took the asphalt
They
up.
did.
No, that part right at the lower part is still asphalt. They removed the upper part of the asphalt on his property because that was never supposed to be there. So he's adding an area that looks probably bigger. It's crushed stone, and it's, like you said, Steve, it's not the same runoff characteristics as lawn.
Right.
Can I ask a couple
Go for it.
questions?
Ben?
First, can this new parking area be completely accessed via the common driveway easement, or is there some sort of encroachment onto the abutting property's driveway in order to park there? Does anyone know?
It's only 7.5 feet wide. He did not want to go closer to his house to make it wide enough for a full-width vehicle to go forward. So it is possible he would encroach upon the easement next door.
Because I don't want to cite something that's going to require that somebody goes over a property line where they don't have an easement to access it with a vehicle.
It's not a very wide spot.
So I think that just needs to be clarified. And then my only other point is on the pervious or impervious nature of the gravel pad. I would say that, an open graded material like a 3/4 inch stone, whether it's compacted or not, will still be a reservoir for a lot of water and might even be better than a compacted lawn area or something. However, when you put the dense grade material and compact that under it, really reduces that impervious.
Plus he's gonna put cobblestones on top of it.
The border, I think,
Oh.
cobblestone border. So I would question why you need a dense grade under there and just use 3/4 inch stone and have it be an open graded parking pad rather than something that has a base under it.
I have no clue.
I really had a hard time hearing any of that.
I didn't hear any
Well,
of it.
I can't solve the internet, so.
No. All right, you know what, this is,
So, just a question, the area highlighted in green now, is that the area that's paved?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And then he's gonna come along and take this segment, sort of like right here,
yes.
Yes.
Fancy.
kind of like that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So it's really this area right here that's additional impervious.
Yes.
Or additional change in impervious area.
Correct.
Okay. I would just say that it feels like big change. But, you know, this is just a gut feel on my part, in terms of changing the overall stormwater flow and stuff. And I think, you know, if we said to, you know, to go ahead and do this, if it created any stormwater related runoff problems to the abutting property or any of that, then that would have to be addressed.
And he's already removed trees in the back, which should have altered the stormwater runoff anyway, I thought.
I didn't hear that.
Tell him.
Hattie thinks that having the trees and what have you removed, the buffer removed in the back of the property did in fact change or could have changed the stormwater. I mean, at this point, this is a situation between one neighbor and another neighbor that has gone on for a long time, and it needs to somehow be resolved. And I think that, as you pointed out, Steve, in one sense, it's no big deal. If we get any complaints, if he goes forward from the neighbors, then he will have to resolve the issue. Do you not agree with that, Steve?
Yeah, I do think so, that, you know, that going back through a full engineering review for this change feels to me like maybe a bit of overkill.
Yes.
I do think that they have to be careful about where these dry wells are, right, and with respect to where everything else is, and where the piping runs for the dry wells and all that. You can't mess any of that up, right?
Could I interject?
Yeah.
That was already and taken into consideration.
Okay, well, I'm just clarifying, because we don't want any of that.
And I understand that. I want to do this right, and that's why I actually called Karen a while back.
Yeah.
But she's been very helpful. I'm trying to get this right.
All right, what is the feeling of the board as a whole? Ben?
I mean, I feel like it's fairly innocuous,
Right.
but
Patty?
I don't want to create
I
problems.
think it is, as Ben says, it's fairly innocuous, but if it comes back to get us, he's gonna have to do another stormwater review.
That's right.
I mean, I think we need to just account for that.
Right.
All right, so I'll draft a letter to Mr. Catalano saying that, you know, it's not a big change if it creates runoff or other problems from the increased materials or trespass onto the adjacent property, then he's gonna have to come back.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's
Okay,
perfect.
so I'll write a letter, I'll send it to the board for review, and then hopefully we can get it to Mr. Catalano within a week.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, Mr. Catalano, thank you very much. Have a good evening. Good night.
Hello?
Hello? We're all set.
He's got two lines open, that's why he can't hear.
You have two lines open.
You're the only one that I could actually hear.
Because you have two lines
Let
open.
me paraphrase what Karen just said. She's going to draft a letter for the board that will essentially say that, you know, that you can proceed with this plan to the extent that it creates a runoff problem, particularly for your neighbors, or it impacts the stormwater management on the property, then you will have to come back and address that. So if we get complaints about it or whatever, we're going to have you come back and address it in a more formal.
That makes all the sense in the world.
All right, well, Karen's going to draft a letter for the board will review it, and then when we're happy with it, we'll send it out.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, and I look forward to, getting what the results are. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good night.
Okay. That's it. Does anybody have anything else?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second. Ms. Burbine?
Yes?
Mr. Bornstein?
Aye.
Ms. Lambert?
Aye.
Ms. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard?
Yes.
Thank you, we are adjourned.
Good night.